if we don't get serious about this generation of children are going to be lost, just like generations that are creating this chaos.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brandon Lewis, founder of the Tennessee Conservative, Tennessee's largest conservative news alternative. And today, Congressman Diana Harshbarger is representing Tennessee's 1st District, and she joins us. She's one of the most conservative and outspoken federal representatives we have in the state. She's here today to talk about protecting minors from the woke ideology and the medical establishment in Tennessee and other places all across the fruited plain of the United States, and what we can expect in the midterm elections. Congressman, thank you very much for being here. Glad you're here.
Hey, my pleasure as always, Brandon, anytime.
All right. Well, let's get right into it. Can you tell me what you're hearing from your constituents around the state about the procedures being performed on minors at Vanderbilt in Tennessee and perhaps other facilities that we're not aware of? I mean, it seems to me if we didn't know about this one, we might not know about others. What are you hearing?
Well, I'm hearing that people don't like this. They were not aware of it, just like, legislators were not aware of it. And, there's only one word, and it's an abomination. When you look and like the transgender pediatric, well, first of all, when you see those two words together, that should be a huge red flag, Brandon. Transgender pediatric clinic. And, from the inception of us finding out about that and what they're doing, and then the video surfaced about how it was a moneymaker, and the documentation showing that they treated children as young as 6 years old. That is unfathomable. And the people in my district say, no, you do something about it. And, from some of the things I've read, I think there may be close to 50 other clinics. I don't even have a list of everybody.
Well, that is unfortunate. Tell us about your bill, which I think is great. And I just have a hard time imagining that this would not have support that is bipartisan, but we're living in a world that I don't recognize anymore. It's called the Protecting Our Children's Innocence Act. Tell us what it is. Yeah. Tell us what it does.
Well, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene. I signed on as an original co-sponsor to that bill because this is something that we need to step in and protect. You can take any child, but especially a child as young as 6 on up. And we had one of the children had gone through gender affirming care speak with us when we did a news conference. At age 12, she started undergoing the puberty blockers, things of that nature. If that's the first step, that they want to draw you in, and we see Planned Parenthood pushing this garbage everywhere, saying you may want to try this for a while. Those effects after a point in time are irreversible. So that bill will make it a felony for a healthcare provider to do gender affirming care on a minor. And it'll also, cuts any of the federal funding off that goes to those type surgeries. There's other bills coming down the pike that will absolutely target. Mike Johnson has one I found out about yesterday about sexualizing our children. And that cuts federal funding off, and they can't talk in literature or events or anything. Like some of these, what are they? The drag queen shows. When you expose those children to that kind of sexualization, that is pure evil. And his bill will go in and say, we're not funding anything from the federal government if the content is any event, any literature, anything for children that are 10 or younger. And I'm like, absolutely, I'll sign on to that bill. If we don't get serious about this generation of children are going to be lost, just like generations that are creating this chaos.
Well, I agree. In 2021 and again in 2022, there was a bill introduced in the Tennessee legislature by Representative Reagan and Janice Bowling that exactly talked about this, would have prevented all this, and it was killed by the medical establishment. They spend so much money up there and they control too many legislators. And they ended up doing this really weak bill instead that Farrell Hale had, which only had to do with hormone blockers, basically for kids that were about under 10. And they could have prevented all this. And if it hadn't been for Matt Walsh throwing egg on the Tennessee legislator's face, they wouldn't do anything about it, I don't believe. And we've got to get more proactive and less reactive in Tennessee. It's a shame that PAC money goes further than the welfare of the kids so often in this state. We appreciate your help here at the Tennessee Conservative. Do help us support our work. This is going to be the shortest support pitch ever. The Tennessee Conservative, you can mail us checks. We got a couple. We got a couple this week to East 27th Street, 1523 East 27th Street, Chattanooga, Tennessee 37404. But for most of you, you will simply go to Tennessee Conservative News/support, and you will give via credit card. Hopefully, make it a recurring donation. We could use it. And when you do, we will send you one of these "Don't California My Tennessee" bumper stickers. We will also send you this "Proud Tennessee Conservative" bumper sticker and a directory of all your state officials up there in Nashville. And finally, the Proud Tennessee Conservative tumbler. Now listen, I know Joe Biden's got gas prices through the roof. Inflation is bad. But buddy, if we don't fight now, there won't be anywhere to fight. Where are we going to go if we give up Tennessee? Where's another more conservative state that's better to live in? I don't know of one. Well, guess what's part of fighting? It's having a conservative news source in our state that actually tells you the truth and is exclusively and only focused on the volunteer state. And as it turns out, I happen to be the only one. The only freaking one. And people complain about not having one, but yet they don't give. Now listen, I know that prices are high for gas and everything else, and you may not be able to afford a trip. But let me send you on a quick little trip right now, and it's very free. It's free. It's called a guilt trip. Guilt trip. Better than a vacation, at least for Tennessee. Right now, less than 5% of donors have ever given to our publication a red cent. Guys, you wonder why conservative organizations are underfunded. If you're in that 95%, next time you wonder why things aren't different, just walk up to a mirror and look in it. It takes everybody pulling together. Liberals give liberally. Conservatives give conservatively, and it's part of the problem. Go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com/support. Don't be in that 95%. It is an embarrassing place to be, and you are in poor company. Switching gears, what are you hearing about the midterms? What do you think we can expect? What's at stake? How should people get engaged?
Well, I'll put it to you like this. I thought the last election was a tipping point. These midterms are absolutely a tipping point. And, I hear from a lot of different people, even across the country. It's like, why should I vote? My vote doesn't count. I'm like, absolutely it does. We are seeing that the generic ballot has grown here in the last week for generics versus Democrats. We're seeing seats that we never thought were in play. They are becoming in play. Look at New York. I heard today or last night, they're thinking they may get 4 seats they didn't expect up there. That's a blue state. We're looking at the Senate races like in Georgia, Arizona. You've got, of course, Pennsylvania. I don't know how in God's name that man could ever be ahead of Dr. Oz Fetterman. But, it's because the media has been complicit in pushing these people forward. And there's so many things I want to change, Brandon. I don't have time to talk about it today.
If you would, talk to me just a little bit about the Republican Party's commitment to America. What's that about? How do you think it will help us win the midterms?
Well, it specifically talks about the things that the American people want us to focus on: an economy that's strong. It wants us to focus on a nation that's safe, a future built on freedoms, and also government accountability, Brandon. And that is what I'm focused on: is oversight, because it'll take 2 years just to uncover what they tried to cover up in the past 2 years. So get out and vote. Early voting has already started because your vote does matter. We have to stop the bleeding.
Is there anything else that you think Tennesseans should know about before we leave? I know you've got a hard break. You've got about 2 minutes left.
Well, I know there's 4 amendments on the ballot in Tennessee, and we've seen a lot of billboards saying vote no on Amendment 1, which is absolutely not the way you want to vote. From talking to the legislators in the state, as well as people who are concerned about what's going on, and it's a right to work state, and they are asking everyone to vote yes on all 4 amendments. That's a pretty big deal. But, if I find something at the federal level that I think the state needs to be involved in, I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to start calling those legislators in my district to make sure they are on the forefront of creating and crafting bills that protect the citizens of Tennessee.
Well, I appreciate it. Hopefully you could put a bug in their ear about school choice, illegal immigration, and social media censorship, because all those bills got killed last year. Woo, it was a slaughterhouse.
Baby, listen,
slaughterhouse.
No, those are some of my top priorities in Congress. So you better believe I'll be talking to them about that.
Well, I appreciate it. We're glad to have you be so outspoken in our state. I love that interview you recently did on NTD News, which is an offshoot of Epoch Times, who's doing old school journalism, not the kind of mainstream corporate left-leaning stuff that we have primarily in Tennessee. So thank you so much for all that you do. If I can ever help you here at the Tennessee Conservative, I will. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Brandon. You call anytime.
All right, dear. Well, guys, if you enjoyed this interview and if you'd like to see other ones like this, please do go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com, hit that subscribe button, or search Tennessee Conservative wherever you get your podcast. Until next time, I'm Brandon Lewis, signing off.